Welcome to Green Flag Attraction Podcast, a relationship podcast designed to help you uncover your red flag addiction. This is your host, Ian and Sarah.
Woohoo!
We are on episode 5, and we're calling it The Love's Blueprint.
And share our 5 non-negotiables in a relationship that have helped us build and strengthen our relationship. And, we're almost 3 years in. We have a lot of years to go. And so this is what has worked for us up to this point, and we hope it can help you too.
And just because there are non-negotiables do not mean that they have to be your non-negotiables.
Exactly.
So it's understanding what you really do. What do you need in a partner? What do you need out of a relationship? So I know when we get into our 5 non-negotiables, number 1 being flexibility, right? So that means growth, always looking for advancement, personal development, doing the work, sitting in the pain, and so forth. So flexibility was a big one for us.
Yeah, I think we're both entrepreneurs. And so over the course of our relationship, we have gone through, multiple different jobs, starting new projects. When we met, I was still working a 9 to 5. I wasn't even a full entrepreneur yet. So quitting my job, launching my business, me going back to school, there's so many things that we have learned to be very flexible. And so for us, that's just such an important non-negotiable.
Yeah, and I've had multiple projects that I'm doing at one time, or I'm traveling for 2 or 3 companies at once, or doing a lot of different consulting gigs. So it's definitely been a lot of flexibility. And on top of that, I have a 5.5-year-old half the time. So talk about flexibility, right? And it was very important. It was non-negotiable for me for sure. Was having a partner that was flexible, right? And wasn't so rigid.
And I think when you are committed to personal development and you're committed to growing and evolving and, exploring new ways of living, it's so important to be flexible because there's just so much unknown that comes with the pursuit of more. And when I look back on the last series of how much we've changed a lot, not only as people, but also as a couple. And I am grateful for that because if we both didn't have that idea of flexibility making our relationship stronger, I don't know if we would have been able to kind of get through some of those crazy times.
Yep. And I'm sure you guys all out there in the viewer world know someone that is still doing the same stuff they were doing in high school, right? And they have not changed. They are the same spitting image person. And it's
and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Wrong.
And so I want to say that as well, is that if you're not someone that's obsessed with evolving and personal development, I realize that this is such a high value for us and it's not for some people. And so if you're still the same person from high school and you like the same things, like my sister married her her high school sweetheart, you can stay somewhat the same. That's okay. You don't have to evolve crazily, but just, don't want to hate on the people that.
And like when it comes to personal growth, that was very important to us, right? In our household, Tony Robbins and some of the gurus are our household names. A lot of people out there that are listening to this now have no idea who Tony Robbins is, and that's okay, right?
I think everyone knows who Tony Robbins is.
You'd be surprised.
What?
Yeah,
really?
In our world, they do. But let us know in the comments. Actually, do you know who Tony Robbins is? Do you know who Mel Robbins is?
Do you know on this one? If anyone does not know who Tony Robbins is, leave a comment. This will be our debate.
We need to know. Tony, if you're listening, we're doing the research for you.
All right. So number 2 non-negotiable for us is blunt honesty. And I mean, we put the word blunt there very purposefully because there's so much more to, I think, having a strong relationship if you're willing to have blunt honesty, because you can have honesty that beats around the bush and is the nice honesty. And I really appreciate our dynamic because we are very blunt with each other.
Fiercely blunt.
We're fiercely blunt. And I feel like it mostly comes from me. You're not as blunt as I am, but I appreciate that we can have that and we respect that in each other.
I'm just easygoing. I just go with the flow. It's easy. sometimes. But yeah, but when it comes down to honesty, that's another thing is a lot of times I feel people are afraid to be honest
Yes.
because they're afraid of what the other person's going to think or what the other person's how they're going to judge them or what it could potentially do to the relationship when in reality, um, being dishonest is going to do more pain and more hurt than being honest from the get-go or honest when you know, finally decide to be honest, if that
And
makes
I
sense.
don't think it's, like, honest versus, like, lying to the person, it's also not having the confidence to speak your needs. So when I say blunt AF honesty, it's like we are sharing what really matters to us, but with the like, not we're not rude about it. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like there's purposeful direction to it.
Usually we're not rude about
Usually
because we're
we're
not
not.
perfect over here. So
I
usually, no, I'm just kidding. Um,
I take blunt to a very, straight to the point level.
but it truly does come from a place of love and a place of
Yes.
care, really. When and that's how it's not her being blunt, just to be blunt, or her to be complaining or this that. It's her actually telling me her needs of what she wants in a relationship and why she needs those things. So I respect the bluntness because as a guy, if you don't tell me, I'm probably not going to know or figure it out, right? So I'd rather you just be blunt and tell me exactly what it is you want, why you need it, and what you expect, and I can rise to the occasion if I choose.
And I love that you mentioned that because one of the reasons I am so blunt with you is I've learned through past relationships that, not being blunt, it's like I was the person that would hint and hope, and you just said, "If you don't tell me, I'm probably not gonna do it." But I was the person not telling, just, like, not being totally on it, like, not getting what I want, but, hoping it's kind of there, and so I love that about you is that you're like, "Tell me, be blunt, we'll figure it out, and we move forward."
As we said in previous episodes, just buy the lemons.
Just
All
by
right.
the
And if you want lemons, just tell them you want the lemons or the
right.
flowers. Okay. Don't beat around the
Just tell
bush
them.
because if you don't get it, you're going to be upset. So just tell them what you expect.
Exactly. Alright,
Yeah.
number 3. Ooh, I like this one.
Respect of differences. So everyone has differences in relationships, either how they were raised, what their parents taught them, what society's taught them, life commandments they live by, or so forth. So it's being able to respect each other's differences and how they view the world or society or religion. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that.
I think that it's easy to say, like, "Respect each other's differences," and if you had told me this, it's like, "Well, yeah, of course I'm gonna respect my partner." But I think that there's a difference between, like, respecting, understanding, and truly accepting your partner for that and allowing them and letting them live in those values without any words from you. Like, for us, a big difference for us in our values is your value of work, right? And I don't value as work as highly as you do. And so that was a little bit of an adjustment for me to respect how you spend your time isn't how I choose to spend my time. And so, you know, do you know what your differences are with your partner? Do you respect them, but do you also allow them to live in their most authentic free self?
Yeah, and when you talk about differences between, like, us and our relationship, right? I was brought up very old school, Midwestern, and where I come from, the man is supposed to be the provider. He's supposed to be able to, bring home the bread, keep the family happy, keep the lights on, have a nice home, and so forth, and I'm with someone that very much respects her individuality and wants to create her own path, and that's totally fine, but it's respecting those differences and knowing that I'm not her savior. I'm not here to save her. I'm here to add to her life, but I'm not here to save her. So that was a big adjustment for me, but also it's respecting the fact that she wants to, pay her own way, or she wants to take on her own responsibilities without putting those responsibilities on me.
Yeah.
So
Just respect. Yeah. All right,
RESPECT.
all right, number 4 is individual independence. And this
What's hard for
is
me?
yes. This goes back to number 3 of respective differences because we are very different in this way. and it is something that I feel like a little bit of a hot topic we've navigated through our relationship, and what really has helped us sustain our relationship and has offered a great foundation is the mutual respect, and also us having our individual independence has been huge.
Yeah, like for you, having your individual independence is one of the biggest things that you honor, right? Or
Yes.
that you expect in a relationship with me or a relationship
Yes.
with anyone in that matter. And for me, individuality is not important. And I think and it's not that I think I know, a lot of that comes from my, and I believe that both of this has to do with our upbringings, right? I was raised primarily as a single child. So I had nothing but free time for myself, free range. Mom was working a lot. Single mom, she had, 1, 2 jobs. She did everything she could to provide for us, but I was on my own a majority of the time, right? Took myself to school, brought myself home, cooked myself meals until mom got home for dinner and so forth. So I was so used to being on my own when I came into adulthood, joined the military, did these different things. I got to see something that I didn't have growing up. And also, I believe the opposite for you, right? You come from a family of 5 and you were the oldest. So you never had time for yourself or you never had the ability to be an individual.
Yeah.
So now she really respects, and I know she needs her girls' trips. She needs time out with the girls alone. She needs to go out and have these things. And at first, that was really hard for me to accept without taking it personal. The first thing I did was I went inward and I focused on myself. Well, why does she want to get away from me? What it was all the self-talk that went on and the stories that I would make up around why she needed to have her own space when it was something that I didn't I couldn't wrap my head around because it's something that I personally didn't need. And when I realized and really did the work into why I was feeling that way, is it coming from abandonment? And is it coming, where are those triggers or where are those wounds showing up from childhood? I really realized that this has nothing to do with her and it has everything to do with me, right? And how I'm looking at a relationship. And I was able to just fully release that. Now she can go on trips and do whatever she wants. And she's, hey, I'm going out with the girls. I'm like, cool. You need a ride? You need some help? Can you need me to set anything up or like whatever you need? Just let me know. And
Yeah.
I'm cool with letting you just do your own thing because it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. We also both have our own things, like hobbies that we enjoy doing. And so I think that it's important for you also to like enjoy things that you enjoy doing. And if it's different than your partner, have the confidence to go and do those things without them. And I think that one of the reasons that my independence is so important to me is not only because of my childhood, but I've also been in relationships in the past where that was where I didn't have that. And so moving into a healthy green flag relationship to me, that looked like independence and a partner who supported that side of me. And so you've always been supportive of my independence, even when it was difficult for you and you were figuring out your thing because that's not the same for you. But in the process, you were always so open and supportive. And so I always respected that.
And you'd always challenge me on that a lot too,
Yeah. I keep
because
it spicy.
yeah, you keep it spicy. She challenged me a lot because I would want, she would want her individuality, but then I was always talking about how it wasn't, it didn't matter to me, or I liked being a community or a group, right? A team effort, I guess you would, opposed to individuals. But at the same time, I would never ask for help with my son. I took it on myself and I wouldn't relinquish any of that control over to her or allow her to help me, even when she wanted to help me, because I was going to do it myself, if that makes sense. So I had to also give up that control and learn to ask for help when I needed it.
Yeah.
So that was huge.
Yeah.
And the next one, and really the most important one, in my opinion, number 5 is celebrate each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Ah,
Celebrate
all
wins,
day
celebrate
long.
and not even big wins. I mean, we celebrate the little things, the littlest of
Yeah.
things, and that's something that a mentor, when I was very young, taught me is, "Hey, start your day with little celebrations. Tell yourself you brush your teeth without, spilling anything on the sink or on yourself, and if you do, like, that's a win, celebrate that, and it gets you to look at patterns of winning opposed to look at patterns of failure,
Yeah.
and that's something that we do in our relationship on a
Right,
hourly
yeah. I
basis.
was gonna say,
For
like,
me, words of
the
affirmation
second
is
we
my
wake
love
up.
language. So yeah, I think we're constantly, and I think I know we're constantly celebrating each other's wins, lifting each other up when we need to,
Yeah.
right?
I think that we really are our biggest cheerleaders, and that was a huge green flag when we first started dating because a couple weeks into us dating, I was in the process of like doing all of the things that I wanted to do. Like I had this goal poster on my dashboard of my car, and one of the things that I always dreamed of doing was getting my motorcycle license. And so when we had just started dating, I was taking my class to get my safety class, and I remember passing, and we were only like 2 weeks into dating, and you were the first person I wanted to text and tell, and you were the first person, and I thought that was so weird because 'cause I'm like, "This guy that I've just been dating for a couple weeks," but you were so supportive and you had been cheering me on, and it felt so good because I'd never really experienced that before, and you really never stopped. But if you have someone who celebrates you, it's just and you guys celebrate each other, it's just so freaking fun. Coming
Yeah.
from someone who hasn't had it before, now that I have it, I'm like, this is like such an important non-negotiable for us because it just makes our lives so much better.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of takers out there. So
Yeah.
when you find a giver, you got to hold on to that person, right? Because there's a lot of people that take, but people that are willing to give back to you, fill up your cup, really focus on helping you become the best version of yourself. That is a dream.
I do wanna share something too because celebrating each other sounds just, like, so easy and, like, foo-foo la la, but in order for you to celebrate with your partner, you have to have something to celebrate, and you have to have been vulnerable enough with them to grow through something hard to celebrate something. So if you're not celebrating with your partner, my first question to you is, do you have something to celebrate? Like, are you creating events to celebrate? Are you doing the work? When I think of all of the things we're constantly celebrating, we're celebrating the fact that we're doing hard things, that we're putting ourselves out there, that we're taking risks, you know? Like last week, I got over some of my fears and cold DM'd an influencer to invite her into my event. Like that was scary for me. And I was just like, all right, I'm doing it. And I did it. And you're the first, I was like, babe, I did it. And you're like, yeah, you did it. And so we just have so much fun celebrating each other. And like, it's so much easier to get out of your comfort zone when there's someone waiting for you on the other end of the finish line. And when you have found that person to be waving those like flags with at the end and to be able to celebrate with them, like, oh, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, imagine being on a sports team or being with your family or your friends and you're the one that makes the big play or you're the one that wins the game for the team or whatever it is. That feels good, right? And people are celebrating you. So take that into a relationship,
Yeah.
right? And if you only have it, think about it's you versus it's you two versus the world, right? And if it's
Yeah.
just you two there, that's really all you need as far as a cheerleading squad goes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It makes such a huge difference.
As far as any other blueprints, one other thing I really want to focus on is you're the architect to your own life,
Yeah.
right? So it's being able to really build and have the framework that you want in a relationship opposed to just freestyling it, right? A lot of people, they jump into something and they're just shooting from the hip, they're shooting from the cuff, they're just going off, rolling with it and letting life, dictate where you're going opposed to dictate where you want your relationship to go. So really just, have that framework, have a blueprint of what you want in a relationship, what you want in a partner, what you guys want to do together, not just individually, but create this together on what you want your relationship to be and share your goals with each other.
Yeah.
Like there's not anything in life that I want to accomplish that she doesn't know and vice versa, I believe. Right? So if there's something that comes to my mind that, man, this is a big goal of mine, she's the first person I share that with. One, because I want her to celebrate and be there for me, but also it's accountability partner, right? There's a lot of times where I want to do something. She's like, hey, you said that you were going to do this, but it's not really happening. What's up? Like, I don't really care, but you said this was important to you. So I'm just holding you accountable to your goals. Regardless if you do it or not, doesn't matter to me. But this is something you said. And that's something that I that I probably take for granted sometimes from our relationship, right? Is your accountability towards me. But you could never have been accountable towards me if I wouldn't have shared with you what those goals were.
Yeah.
Right. And it's always fun to accomplish something with someone else.
Yeah.
And really, just to recap what we went over in today's episode, it was our 5 non-negotiables for our relationship. Which, just to recap those, was flexibility, right? You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to growth, ever changing, really just give it your all, right, in life. Number 2 is blunt honesty. So just fiercely honest feedback in order to grow. Number 3 is respect of differences, right? You're all individual people, so respect the individuality, and celebrating each other, which I cannot stress enough, is really our number 1, is be each other's cheerleaders. Be there to celebrate each other's wins.
So, this week we talked about your love's blueprint, and I want to leave you with the message of figure out what you want. What does your unique blueprint look like? I figured out my blueprint by knowing a lot of things I didn't want. So that can be a great start. If you know what you don't want, just flip the opposite. I didn't have a lot of fun in my last relationship, so I wanted fun in this one. I wanted someone who celebrated my wins. So figure out what your unique blueprint is, and we'll see you next week.